Good evening, queer visitors. Thank you
Hey
for
y'all.
joining us for our October book club. If you can hear me, put an emoji in the chat to let us know. Great. I am so excited for this month's club and to have three amazing storytellers with us. We have the amazing performer from North Carolina, Mixed Princexx Peritwinkle, who's an amazing storyteller with Drag Story Hour, who can tell you all about their adventures in reading to children and performing for adults, especially some Oz themed drag shows. We also have
Yeah.
Down the Yellow Brick Pod, which is an amazing podcast that I was so lucky to be featured on a while back to talk about queer visitors. So you're in for a treat and have new people to follow and discover after queer visitors. So I am going to get off the stage and let our host take it away. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Yes,
Yay.
thank you. Hey everybody. As they said, my name is Mixed Princexx Peritwinkle. My pronouns are Z and Z. I do drag and a lot of other things. I'm also a library kid. I'm excited to be here today to talk about the marvelous land of Oz. Did you all want to have any grounding words before we start in our intro?
Ooh, grounding word. I like grounding word.
I can share some of mine if that
Yes,
helps.
please. Kick us off.
When I first approached this book, I was like, oh, I feel very familiar around all this. I was like, I've seen The Wiz, I've seen Wicked, I've done the shows that have all of the wonderful songs, but this is the first time I've revisited this as an adult. It really felt like a true trans allegory as a Black trans person here in the South, navigating identity and imagination. I really found myself grounding to all the possibilities. I was thinking about bigness and possibilities and imagination when I was reading through this, and that felt really fun. So I didn't know if there was anything that y'all kind of kept coming back to, but if not, we can just jump in.
I will offer up unusual as a grounding word because there's so much unlikely. Queer is a word that is used a lot in the Ozverse. Strange, and it's so embraced in the land of Oz. The uniqueness and the unusualness is embraced. So I'll offer that up.
I love that. I will offer up the word belonging. Belonging in yourself, in your own identity and who you are, accepting yourself, as well as belonging in a community of unusual friends and creatures who you meet along the way, belonging in home, belonging in what your purpose is on this earth.
Yes, it makes me think of the song Home from The Wizard of Oz. So, yes, I'm here to jump right into it. This book is fabulous. We start with a boy named Tip. And I really loved this first little introduction of our main character. He's just a kid who reminds me of lots of fairy tale kids who doesn't feel loved by their caretaker. Moby is like this evil witch type character that is like the parental character for our friend Tip. And yeah, Tip, I almost imagine that Tip like is an orphan, like Tip's almost like going through the system. I feel like Tip felt really familiar. I was like, oh my goodness, Tip is really going through it and not getting the support Tip needs at home. Tip begins to create. Tip makes, which I feel like I didn't even remember this from the first time I read it, but Tip creates like a jack-o'-lantern friend. Tip creates a sawhorse friend. Tip creates like a community, like his imaginary friends. Like he brings to life like the all the chores and all like the workspace around him becomes almost like a playground, and it just feels so imaginative and honestly very familiar. I just resonate a lot with Tip. I was reading like Tip felt very Black. Tip felt very like, gosh, like did he grow up in Arkansas as well? It just felt really familiar and fun to see this character being given this strong introduction. One of the questions that we were going to look at is in what ways does Tip's childhood reflect social expectations around gender, obedience, and belonging? For me, I really think around obedience. It's almost like Tip's like a Cinderella type character. He's working so hard, having to listen to Moby so much, who's not kind and not centering what Tip needs. So that first question, did that spark anything things that y'all might want to respond to around Tip's childhood.
Yeah, I mean, some of my favorite books growing up are about orphans. We've talked about that. I think as a kid, it was like, oh, it's like romanticized in a way. You talk about Annie, the musical. It's like, oh, she's having fun singing at the orphanage, but it's like she's going through some stuff and has to fight for herself and for her friends around her. So I think Tip's journey of having this isolated experience. I never really thought of it that way, of it leading him to be really creative and have to create his own friends. It almost feels like creating your own imaginary friends as a kid, or creating, like my best friend and I growing up would create these other friends, like imaginary scenarios. We didn't have the powder of life to make things come alive, but we would have loved that. Yeah, I guess I immediately with Tip am like drawn into how he's all alone and living with this witch who he thinks he can trust. He thinks she is looking out for him and has his best interests, but she really doesn't, as we'll find out.
I think for this read, revisiting Marvelous, which I read for the first time about 3 years ago and really loved it the first time I read it. But for this read, also Tip is fed a lot of really cruel words from Mombi. She can be pretty nasty. And you know what I noticed when he is with his found family and they're figuring themselves out and they're on their adventures, he starts to use some of those words and talking to them. And I was like, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Like idiot and fool, like all these things. And I think it's because it's only what Tip knows. But that brings up a theme of hurt people when people are ostracized and feeling isolated and disconnected. Usually there's a pattern here. So that was something that really stood out to me. I don't remember it standing out as much the first time I read it.
It's honestly, when I'm looking at the first couple chapters, when he brings to life the jack-o'-lantern character, one of the first discussions is like, the jack-o'-lantern's like, oh, I owe you obedience. Like, you're my father. Like, obedience. Like, I'm listening to you. Tell me what to do. And I remember when they were walking and he was worried about falling apart. And he's like, should I sit or should I stand? And Tip's like, you should be able to sit. It's fine. And then he does, and it's not fine. And he's just like, oh, I was listening to you. Because it's just like, yeah, it makes me think of like, yeah, our play characters use the same language that we hear around us. So it definitely has, it makes me think of a familiar, almost rough, tough type of upbringing. And then I just like moving into him making his jack-o'-lantern friend, him making his sawhorse friend, and just like finding his chosen family and finding people who he can trust, finding people he can journey with. I was just thinking about that a lot. Like, wow, that feels really like when I came out and I found all my queer family. I'm like, oh, these are the people I can trust. And these are the people who are going to call me by my name and show up and be there for me and maybe understand that I am a little rough and tough, but that's okay because we're all like queer and making our way together. Yeah.
I love it. I love that. That's awesome. Tip's journey reminds me of, have you seen the movie Return to Oz?
Ooh, I don't think so. Give me spoilers and summaries. Yes, summary and spoilers, please. Brief, go for it, please.
You will love it. It's inspired by the following book and Ozma. Dorothy is in Return to Oz. I feel like obviously this is Tip's story in the book version, but it's so much fun, and like I can't not picture Jack Pumpkinhead from that film.
Yeah, Jack Pumpkinhead is very sweet in the film.
But his design is just this huge pumpkin head and like the most spindly little arms. He's really, really cute. But reading the book, it feels like a parallel to Dorothy's journey in a way in The Wizard of Oz, you know?
Yeah.
Like Sawhorse, Jack, those are her friends that she finds along the way. So as you were speaking, I was just like, okay, cool. Tip and Dorothy, very, very similar.
Yeah, honestly, when we were watching all the different Headless Horseman variations that we could find over the week, because it's just like it's a season. And then when I was reading this book, I was like, oh, it's giving similar characters. I saw that in a drag show last week. I love it. But then I was also like, his aloofness of the jack-o'-lantern friend really reminds me also of the Scarecrow. But then the Scarecrow has such a different characterization. But he's so goofy and aloof and just very listening and obedient. It reminded me very much of Dorothy's journey.
Yes.
A last question for this first section about Tip's journey is, Have you ever been told who you were before you had the chance to decide for yourself? I liked that prompt. It makes me think about our jack-o'-lantern friend just awakening and being named and told, yes, you can walk, and your head is sturdy, and all the different things he needed to be reminded. But was there anything that came up for y'all with that prompt?
Many different things.
I think I felt that with my singing voice as a kid. I didn't sing because I didn't think it was the best voice. I felt like I couldn't explore the sound. It had to be perfect before I even knew what my voice was. So I would say that for sure. I think a lot of singers specifically have a story with some sort of teacher saying something that has stayed with them. I definitely had that experience. I remember I was too loud or something along those lines, and I really did not know how to interpret that in a helpful way. So yeah, I think those things that happen when you're a kid, if you don't look them in the face, they haunt you and stay with you as wounds as an adult. The labeling of my voice.
I'm realizing more as an adult that I don't really know how to dress myself. I don't really know what I want to wear. As a kid, a lot of my clothes, I got to pick out clothes, but clothes are expensive. So as an adult, you're kind of like, okay, cool.
Limited.
And it gets to the point where you're like, okay, a really nice pair of jeans, that's going to cost me like $40. Do I want to spend that, or do I want to just keep wearing what I have? I guess it's like, okay, am I allowed to branch out of what people expect me to wear or what I've always worn?
What do people expect you to wear?
I think it's more like bright, colorful colors.
Oh, but you don't want to wear that.
I do. Monday, I'm in all black. Tuesday, I'm in rainbows. Wednesday, I'm an 80s rocker. Like,
you want genre.
I want genre.
You want eras.
The drag of it all, honestly. I was like, the variations. It's a costume. Every day is a drag in the best ways.
The rest is drag. So come on. So yeah, it can range even from like, I've always had really long hair. If I cut it, is that going to emotionally affect people?
Oh, these are very real things, honestly. When I think of that question, I think a lot around my hair and my dress. I have conversations with other performers about what we're able to wear outside of performing and like how like being able to have like your queer identity, your queer performance identity. And then also just like, I do have a favorite pair of jeans, and I get what you mean. Sometimes it's like, sometimes the clothes, I mean, for me is part of the identity. And also just when I think of the question at its base, have you ever been told who you were before you had a chance to decide for yourself? Like, just a very queer and trans question. Adults seeing that I might be gay before I'm able to name and figure out that I'm gay. Folks not hearing or understanding my name and pronouns. I'm just like, yeah, I have an identity and I'm trying to say it. I'm trying to be heard. These are really big, real feelings for me. And I'm excited to talk about the Army of the Girls. I love this section. Do y'all want to start? How you feeling?
Whatever you'd like. We can totally, if you'd like.
Yeah. Y'all can start. I have a lot of thoughts. I want to make sure I'm like,
yes.
Do
you want me to
take it, girl?
Okay, amazing. So this whole novel centers around a revolt that is happening in the land of Oz. When this was being written, there was a lot going on in the women's suffrage movement, which we always note was primarily white women fighting for the right to vote at the turn of the century. And what a lot of people don't know is that L. Frank Baum's mother-in-law is a huge reason we're obsessed with her. Matilda Jocelyn Gage, speak her name. She is wild. Her quotes should be turned into a musical at this moment because she was so ahead of her time in the 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, an abolitionist, a huge writer of the women's rights movement, but she got erased from history because she was too radical. She wanted rights for all women, not just white women. So Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton, they kind of split from her. There's so much here, but all this to say, this was Baum's life. His mother-in-law was an outspoken woman who, like I said, her quotes still drop today. They're so incredible and sad because they're all still very true for what any marginalized person has to fight for. So with all that being said, she'd already passed on, but he was poking fun at the women's right movement, but also speaking up for how women are superior, how much they run the world. He's making some fun comments with this because this army, which is led by General Ginger, who is fierce.
We love her.
Knitting needles for weapons. Love it. They are tired of doing their gender norms. of being a woman. They want to be in the Emerald City, embracing the jewels. They want to make all the men identifying folk of Oz do all the things that they've been doing, and they get to do something else. It's a really fun satire, parody of it all, and a good question that we could bring up with this. What do we think Baum was parodying then? And maybe like how it would it, I think this is the question. How does this translate now, what we're witnessing within Marvelous Land? Like, how do we see it through a 2025 trad wife?
I have a lot of thoughts. When I think about what was going on during women's suffrage, as somebody who's in a Black Greek organization, I think of all the Black women who were doing a lot of voting rights work during that time. I think about what was going on during the NAACP, what was going on just during, my goodness, just so much that Black women were doing at that time to make sure that so many things during the continuing civil rights movement was being able to be moved. And that's honestly what I thought of a lot. When I think of it today, I think of, when I hear an army of girls, I'm thinking like, yes, arm the girls. I think of Black trans women being able to stay alive, Black trans women being able to fight back. When I think of an army of girls, I literally think of the strength of trans women. I think of trans women being able to walk and exist safely and freely, like in New York, in North Carolina, in the deeper South, like anywhere. And it's just like, I think of it like not even as a satire, as a parody, but as like a prophecy. Like, I want people to be able to use whatever tools. I want trans women, I want trans people, I want especially Black trans women to be able to fight for their safety and fight for their rights and fight for their lives. Like, I just was reading that and I was like, yes, an army that is like the strongest people I know, like the most powerful, strongest, amazing, dopest, flyest, beautiful people in the world. I think of the girls being able to relax and not fight and not have to use their knitting needles as like weapons, but like tools of textiles of love and creation and quilting.
I love that.
I've been having conversations all week with some Black trans folks in my community about this. It reminds us of the uprisings and all the different survivors that we've learned through like abolition work, and the Black trans women who are in men's prisons having to fight, having to survive, having to stay hopeful and alive, and also being feminine, beautiful, and fierce at the same time. I think of my friend inside right now, Diamond. I think of her a lot. I've been talking to her a lot. And when I think of an army of dolls, I think of her strength, beauty, and resilience. Yes.
Yes. Beautiful.
Yes. I think of Megan 2.0 as well.
Oh, yes.
It's a little bit scarier.
But she's there.
But she will protect.
Yes. That's wonderful. That made me excited during that. Section 2, I'm trying to see what page it was, but I'm such a dog-eared every section.
I love it.
Every single page.
Also, while we're talking about the Army of the Girls, there is an amazing activity on the Queer Visitors site where you can cut out and make your own Army of the Dolls and reinvent it to being the people you want to be with, protect your queer friends. Like, it's just a beautiful exercise. So that's something you could do now if you'd like.
Anytime.
Yeah. On a rainy day. It's beautiful.
I'm just looking at all my dog-eared sections from General Ginger's Army of Revolt. And when I see the "We Are Not Afraid," and it was like the look was so determined that it made the Guardian uneasy. I was talking about naming all the people who I know today that are like, yes, their strength reminds me not to be afraid and what's happening today. But then I'm also thinking of Miss Major, who just became an ancestor, trans ancestor, who's an amazing survivor of the Stonewall Rebellion and is honestly still teaching us lessons of how to survive this wild anti-trans world we're living in. Yeah, I was just like, this is allegory. This is relevant. I kept reminding myself and writing in the margins as I was reading it. It was my favorite section, I think.
Oh, I love that.
The illustrations in that section are incredible. Just seeing them represented in their outfits and the design. And I think, very camp in the best way. Like, I want to be a part of this army. I want to wear that outfit. And I think it's also the surprise of everyone. Like, I don't think anyone saw it coming. Who's ruling at this time? Tin Woodman?
No, Scarecrow is
This is still Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Tin is in his castle.
He's in Winky.
It is kind of funny to think Scarecrow is ruling. He's this like male character, supposedly. He's a scarecrow. The fact that it's like, oh my gosh, there's this army of girls. They're powerful and they're going to overtake and they're here. I like that it's kind of a surprising turn.
They're the people of Oz. We didn't really get to hear from in Wonderful Wizard.
Right.
So we get to see some like everyday citizens seizing
making
some
their
power.
voices heard.
Yes.
I'm looking at the prompt question for this section, and it's asking about when have we been part of a joyful rebellion? I can think of a lot of bittersweet experiences doing direct action work, like with people who are inside of prisons, with people who are on like the front lines. But then I also think of drag and ballroom as a joyful rebellion. It's always been, to me, a space of like resistance, carving out of drag pageants that can be really white centered. And it's like carving out space to be loud and boisterous, offer resistance. And a lot of times it's like the movements, the dance is fierce, and it's like a rebellion, that soft gentleness. That's what I was thinking of when I thought of joyful rebellion. And I also think of all the dance and music that comes out of protesting. I have done a lot of jail support, like bailing people out and arresting people. And there's a lot of movement and rhythm and joy, and also bitterness and sorrow that comes with it. But then just like also just a lot of resistance, a lot of rhythm, a lot of soul and heart in it all. So that's what I was like, oh, a joyful resistance. I think of all my comrades everywhere that still do this work alongside me.
Wow, beautiful.
We were saying, I think we're happier this past week because we've been to so many drag shows recently.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, it brings so much joy to my life because the spaces are usually just so rooted in joy.
Yeah.
And we're both in New York City, and you live in New Jersey.
Now I'm in Jersey.
Yeah, but we're in New York City for this time. I went to a rally for Zohran Mandami, got to see him speak, got to see AOC speak, got to see Bernie Sanders speak, got to see a rabbi speak, got to see leaders from all different kinds of communities come up on stage, talk about the same things, and just the working class and how important the working class is here. Do I feel like politics are neglecting anyone who is non-elite? It just felt like, oh, here's my people. We sang together in Forest Hill Stadium in Queens, which is a beautiful old US Open tennis court. Honestly, these are the things that are getting me through this dizzying time that we're in, because it just brings so much. It brings joy, and it also shows you that there's so many people who want the same world that you want. And I think it's so good to see that.
Yes, a joyful resistance indeed. I love it. Yeah, that was a really good section. The next section, I feel like I already kind of talked about it a little bit, but it's the companions of clay and straw. And I think that's where
I love it.
The sawhorse friend and making I was saying it differently in my head, the gump. I was saying it all different ways in my head. But when I was thinking of those friends joining the journey, it really reminds me of just coming out and just, who are my people? Where are my people? Where are the spaces and faces that are familiar and safe and friendly and like good and like will honor and listen to me? Yeah, I didn't know if y'all wanted to talk more about that.
Sure. I mean, I love my friends of clay and straw. That's one of my favorite parts about Oz. It's like, not just, well, we are all spoiled. The gump is disassembled. It's literally just his head, but then he lives on. He's there, and that's his body, and that's beautiful. I just love that spirit. It doesn't matter what they look like. It's just, we love them. We just love them. I just feel like
they're also direct.
Creativity. They're all very blunt.
They're like, yes, my eyes can see that.
They kind of bicker too.
The bickering is funny,
but it's like they recover from it very quickly.
The bickering is healthy, very healthy.
It's like, we're in survival mode. We need to figure this out. Even with, as you already mentioned, with Jack Pumpkinhead, of him being like, I follow what you tell me to do. There's just some very quirky personalities and dynamics going on, but they make it work. It tickles me to watch how they come together. That idea of finding that troop for yourself or that family for yourself. I've lived in New York, well, now New Jersey, for 15 years, which is kind of crazy. Moved from California. And I always think about one of the things I'm most proud of in my life is being able to move across the country and actually make a family. I have my found family. A couple weeks ago, I got engaged, and we had a dinner afterwards. And my takeaway, other than saying yes to my fiance, was like, wow, this huge thing in my life just happened. His mom was there, who I met a couple years ago. Tara was there, who I met through theater. Her husband was there. One of my best friends who Tara introduced me to, like people, Tori from the Oz blog, who I met through Oz. Like, those are the people who were with me in a really important moment in my life, and we all represent something different, and I promise to not disassemble you.
I don't want to be mounted,
but it just reminds me of those groups of friends that you're like, We're just a little hodgepodge
Yeah.
family.
The voice of Oz wants to jump in really quick.
Come
and-
on, share.
We can't hear you.
No, did we
I'm
lose
gonna-
audio?
Lose audio?
I can
No,
hear
can
you.
you hear me?
I think maybe our audio is lost.
I can hear
Our
you.
audio's
though.
lost.
Okay, maybe,
I don't
hopefully the
know.
audience can hear me. But there's a quote.
We can go to the green room.
We'll come back in.
Yeah, we'll come back.
I don't know
We
if
can
I
hear
can
you. Or I can hear you.
I think Princexx can hear us.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Okay,
can't hear you,
so-
but
We
we
can
can't
hear
hear
you. You're
Princexx.
so fine.
There's a
Speaking
quote
Princexx.
from the pro that says, "I am convinced that all
Technology.
people
Maybe.
worthy."
Yeah,
of
we'll leave the stage. We'll
consideration
come back.
in the
Okay.
world
Okay, we'll be
are
right
the-
back.
Be right back. We'll see.
Okay, cool. Sorry, the Scarecrow says, "I'm convinced that the only people worthy of consideration in this world are the unusual ones. For the common folks,
We're back.
are
We're
like
back. Hello.
You can hear us?
Yes.
I
We
can
can't
hear.
We can't hear you.
hear you.
I'm done. I'm done.
Oh.
Jonathan?
So,
Help?
what do we do?
Hey, are y'all able to hear me?
We can't hear you
Yeah,
yet.
your sound just went out. I
Yeah.
don't know what.
Are folks in the audience able to still hear me?
You
Jonathan, are
could
you
try
able
leaving
to
and
still
coming
hear
back.
me?
I mean, that's what we did.
Okay, Jonathan's saying they
Jonathan
can
can
hear
hear.
me.
We just can't hear Princexx.
Yeah.
Oh, but they can hear. So maybe we should
And we-
stop.
We'll be back.
Yes. Jonathan, talking about that quote about the scarecrow, talking about the folks who, I feel like we're saying the folks that were special were the folks that were weird and different. I felt like I remembered that as well. And it just made me feel like it was all just such a queer tale altogether. Yeah.
We hear
We
you.
hear you.
We're
5
all
straight
like
minutes of us being
queerly
like, "Can you
beloved
hear
here
us?"
together.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway, please continue.
Yeah, Jonathan shared a really cool quote. I can just repeat it so we're all on the same page. And it's also in the chat. I'm convinced that the only people worthy of consideration in this world are the unusual ones. For the common folks are like the leaves of a tree and live and die unnoticed. And yes, I feel like I also shade the ultimate
Yes,
shade. Like
shade.
they
Strong
said,
literal
put on
shade
some
leaves a
glitter,
tree.
be seen, be noticed. And as just somebody who likes performing and likes creating and sharing art, and sometimes my art's a little weird, a little different, even in drag and queer spaces, sometimes it's a little different. I'm just like, yes, I deeply resonate with that. And honestly, the literal building of the family and the journey is part of it. It just feels so familiar and so like, are these my gay family? Just how we're finding our people. And I think also as somebody who enjoys organizing with other Black trans people and other queer people, I'm also just like, wow, sometimes the people who were working together are the people we're like building community together. And it's just like, sometimes what we're doing is like weird stuff or radical stuff or flamboyantly feather in hats type stuff. It's really beautiful to all be together and doing it, being gay and Black and trans, despite the government and whatever else is up against us. Like we're still, as Miss Major says, we're still here.
Beautiful.
Love
A
that.
good section indeed.
The last part of that quote is like the shady part, the common folks, the tree and live and die unnoticed. It does make me think of, I think this is a Brene Brown quote. She does a lot of work on courage. Is she a psychologist?
Yes. But I think she has her PhD.
She speaks magnificently on very complex emotions. This is what I resonate with. If you don't take any criticism from people who are not in the arena with you, if they're just spectators throwing their own shade and they're not speaking up or doing anything for their lives, I don't get your ears for that. I love that. That's what I think of with people who are going to just pass through their life and not take any risks or be the haters in the comments trying to bring other people down. Like they're not actually in the arena.
It wasn't that great. It's like, did you try? Or, you know.
Yeah.
There's a similar saying in drag. Drag is hard, it's brave, it's vulnerable. Every once in a while somebody gives a critique and I was like, well, you should go up in some nylons and try it, babe. I'm vulnerable and gay up in this bar. I don't ever say it, but that is a saying in drag as well. We're being vulnerable and brave and queer up on the stage, sometimes in really big heels and tight nylons.
Give it a try yourself.
Give it a try yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. I feel that. I feel that. Yes. And also I'm just like, I'm looking at like where in the book, like the journey is most of the tale. It really is sometimes how you get there and not where you get. I'm like, yeah,
100%.
it's all the people you meet, all the little queerdos that are keeping you going and all the little words of advice. always
The
sad.
woggle bugs of it all.
I was thinking about the conversation around his education certification. He's like, he was highly educated. That's what the H, or what was it? It was
Highly
something
magnified, but he's also highly educated.
Yeah, but
Yes.
also
needed so much help figuring out so much, which is like, don't we all? It's
Right,
like, what do
yes.
these letters mean? Yeah, yeah.
so good. And his little
Mhm.
pills.
That comes later, I think.
Is that
right?
not in
Yes.
this one? Oh my gosh. Okay,
I
spoiler.
think that
future
comes
books.
later. the
He comes
pills.
back.
He comes
so
back. Woggle
Okay,
bug is a
learn.
regular.
I really love him.
Yes. He was
We
the
love
first
this.
official character in the Bomb world to get merch.
Ooh,
He
I love
deserves
that.
it.
Come on.
Educated.
Had a game,
He's
had
sad.
posters, had stuffies.
He's so cute.
He's
I
very
love
cute.
it.
They wanted to do a whole Woggle Bug musical, but that did not take off.
I think it's for this.
They were out of town tryouts, but that's about
Oh
it.
my goodness. I can imagine the costumes. I love it. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Have you ever
Wow.
seen any of the original wizard costumes from?
No.
Have you ever seen the 1903?
No, I'm
They're
really
fun.
obsessed with the original Wiz costumes, which are just like terrifyingly awesome, but also like really, I think about the lion one all the time. That's like, oh, this is like
Thick.
really thick. How many premieres did this one survive? I haven't seen the
Oof.
original one though.
There are some costumes in the OG. It was called the musical extravaganza.
Yeah, and it was
The plot.
an extravaganza.
The plot was like barely present.
There was
but
a
the characters
character
were
called Trixie
Listen,
Trifle.
but the
Trixie
costumes.
Trifle. The costume.
Okay,
The
come on,
costumes were
Trixie.
Trixie Trifle.
Trixie.
Went with Dorothy to Oz as well.
There was a cow named Imogen.
Instead of Toto, it's just
Imogen.
wild. Please, everyone, look it up. It's wild. The best thing in the world, and I want to see this on any kind of drag stage. The poppy costumes were like, if you turned around, it was just a green stem. Your body's the green stem, and your hat is the poppy.
Oh my goodness.
So when the girls, the
girl,
gaggle,
the beautiful
the
girls.
beautiful chorus girls, when they would be their backs to the audience, they truly just looked like giant poppies.
Well, yeah.
And then they turn around and they'd have like full face.
It's like a
and,
leotard with like
Oh
vines.
my goodness, I
It's
love that.
stunning.
It's really pretty.
Yes, this is when chorus
Yes.
girls were having a moment
Like
too.
Ziegfeld Follies.
Yeah, right at the
vibes.
Follies.
Yeah.
Yes, the costumes are incredible.
Just give it a Google search.
Yes.
It's a
I
good
love
time.
that. That honestly makes me think about how good the costumes for the poppy scene was in the original Wiz. I feel like every iteration of the costumes are always so great. And also just like the scene, I think it was in the Journey when they were going through the sunflower field.
The sunflowers. That was
Made
supposed
me
to
think
be
of the
girls.
poppies.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's probably for the musical.
they wanted to make this a play. The sunflowers were seeing the chorus girl.
I can see it now.
Yes.
The costumes, the songs. As somebody who likes writing and creating, I'm like, sometimes you have familiar themes. And this definitely seems like the first iterations of the Poppy Girls, and also makes me think of the baby cherubs at the end of the Wiz. This feels so familiar and so grand and so
Those
good.
little baby angels. Like the flying
The
babies.
Lena Horne baby.
These are so
Babies.
familiar.
Literally like children on set.
And they're just like, hey.
Yeah, they're like the children of the actors. It's so good.
Oh my
love it.
God, the
goodness, I
Wiz.
love it.
Yeah, we love the Wiz.
Well, yeah, I feel like if that might be like as our companions of Clay and Straw journey, are we ready to talk about the Lost Princess?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
I'm like dun, 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 like the real star
Here
of
we
the show.
are.
Yeah, so we journey with Tip through all of the land of Oz. We're going from deep purple to lavender to green, and we get to the Emerald City, and lots of different things happen. But as we're journeying and the big reveal happens, I love, and to me, this is why it's a trans tale, we find out that Tip is actually the Princess Ozma, and this is just like amazing. And to me, it's just like a little boy being told, actually, you're a wonderful princess. It's like, duh, like, we didn't tell you, now you know. And I'm just like, wow. I feel like even some of the language that's used, I'm just gonna pull up that section because it made me so, it's so good. I think even because they're talking about transformation pills, I'm like, this is HRT, this is a trans pill, like, this is so familiar. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it just really made me really glad to see. And I think even just like the description and like the illustrations of the gown, like it just felt almost like when Cinderella turns and it's just like from rags to this beautiful gown. I'm just like, oh, this is like beautiful. This is beautiful. I'm looking at this one section. I don't know if y'all have the same page numbers, but it's on 197 where they're like, where Princess says, I hope none of you will care less of me than you did before. I'm just the same Tip, only only. And then Pumpkin says, only you're different, Pumpkinhead. And everyone thought it was the wisest speech he had ever made. And I was just like, yes, first time using your new trans name. I was really talking about this with all my friends. I was like, y'all don't have to read this whole book, but maybe just this section so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So
that's
good.
honestly what we had pulled up too. The moment.
It's so wonderfully simply done. Tip saying, will you accept me? I'm like, what's gonna happen? And then being like, we love you.
Yes.
You're different now, but it's still you.
Honestly, the gag of it being like some magic pills that are really complicated dealing with Planned Parenthood in this administration, like the magic pills that can only be taken at a certain time for them to work. Your friends are trying to help you figure it out. Makes me think of my friends trying to get to the clinic to get the paperwork done. It should be so simple, but it's not as simple as it should be just to be able to access gender affirming care in the world. Like, yeah, and it just like it all felt so much of an allegory. And I'm like, trans people have existed all the time, everywhere, forever and ever. I oftentimes think of like, how were trans people back then surviving, existing, accessing HRT? And that last section really got me going. In every margin, I'm like, transformation, like, yes, just such a beautiful tale. My goodness.
Ahead of its time.
The best thing why we love Oz as two people who've committed our lives to podcasting in the world of Oz, but also like we've been doing it for so long. We learned so much from it because there's no big fuss. It's just people are who they are. And I love that so much about, I don't know if Baum, how aware he was of any of this in his writings. Honestly, I think this only translates better to today in a 2025 lens.
This is
great. One of his best as someone who's going through my own healthcare hell at the moment with how insane everything is. It's only gotten worse since we're in the administration that we're in. I just want to say I see you, what you're going through as well, because it is one of the most debilitating things.
It's frustrating. Wild. And it teaches people how to be creative and resourceful. And to me, it also brings together community. I feel like
you're right.
Sometimes some of my queer check-ins are like, wow, are you still able to access what you're needing? Like, do you have what you need? It also makes me think of when I talk to my gay friends in other areas that have also experienced natural disasters. And it's like the formulas are there for how to survive in a tumultuous time because people have survived not having access to HRT before, being denied care, or having to get a little wiggly with what codes to use for insurance just to be able to access what they need. I'm a deep believer in good gossip, and sometimes we have to just talk to each other and figure out what's going on. How are you doing it? And how can I do it? And how can we survive this together? It just all felt so relevant and so like, oh my gosh, this is me and my friends who put these cameras here. Us navigating being trans in the South, being Black and trans and radical in the South. I'm like, wow. Tip was on to something, and Tip's also like actually surprised. I'm trans, I'm Ozma, I'm really onto something. And I'm like,
I am Ozma.
Yeah. Like the parent reveal of it all. I feel like there's a conversation of like, well, we just didn't think you needed to know, or we didn't tell you. And I'm just like, this is just so familiar. Yeah.
And I feel like what you described with your friends of the good gossip, that is a joyful rebellion where you're like, all right, we're in this, we're dealing with this crap. But together, we're going to band together to do what we can. I hate that's the system.
It does make you feel somewhat, it at least makes you feel seen when you're going through the worst of it.
Together.
That's medicine in itself, to just feel seen and not discard it if you're in a trying situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes. I think about that a lot when I think about legislation in my state and other southern states. The legislation all kind of mirrors each other when it's anti-trans legislation. Sometimes it's copy and paste. It's the same language. They're gossiping with each other to figure out how to oppress us. We should gossip with each other and resist, fight back, get creative, and be resourceful in what we need. It's happening. I remind myself like the politics are like, they're politicking on me regardless, like if I engage or not. So it's like, how do we engage? How do we resist? How do we keep each other together and hold each other accountable? For me, that oftentimes allows us to be resistant and resourceful. We make it. It's beautiful. I know we have an ish minutes left, but we have like lots of time. I feel like there was a couple last questions in the Return of Ozma section. I'm looking at this prompt. What would a world look like if it were ruled by the most authentic version of yourself? Oh, I love a question like that. But do y'all want to know?
What would a world look like if it was ruled by the most authentic version of yourself? Oh my gosh.
This reminds me of in elementary school, we had an essay writing prompt where you had to, what if you were president for the day, what changes would you make? Mine was about how many parking ticket signs there are in my hometown. I thought they were ugly. I was like, please get rid of those signs. Why is that? But it stuck with me because I was just like, take those away and put the money that goes toward the signs towards something else. Do you have one? I'm still thinking.
Oh, I mean, I would have everyone have access to healthcare. I think that's literally, like, I would be so focused on everyone having the same basic rights met. Like, everyone deserves a roof, everyone deserves food, everyone deserves the same healthcare. No more hierarchical healthcare and out-of-pocket BS. That would be my whole campaign if I was ruling anything. People being cared for and not feeling that they have to fight to get the access they need.
Yes, I'm a deep believer in access for all, healthcare for all. The very least, people as an abolitionist, I'm always going to be like, no prisons. They hurt my people. They hurt our people. They hurt everyone. Like, everyone's infected by the prison industrial complex. I see remnants of it in books. Yeah, prisons are everywhere. And what if they weren't? Like, we see prisons everywhere, even if we're not looking at a prison. But what if they weren't? Then what? I think about access to my people. It's being able to be in communication and contact with Black trans people who are locked away simply for being transgender. It's a crazy world and it still happens today. So I'm always a big, like, we could do a lot more with our resources, our thoughts, and our people. No, I could talk about abolition all day. I'm a deep believer that we just don't need the prisons. It's just not what we need to survive. Yeah, and oftentimes I'm reading different things and I'm wondering, like, wow, what would it look like if we had this book in a space with no prisons? Oh, our friends.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
Space with no prison.
Yes, like a world with no prisons, like free the dolls inside. So that's what my world would look like.
Love.
Let's combine our world.
Honestly, I was like, we just need all the healthcare for everybody. Like, everybody just, like, let's all just get free. Oh my gosh. Yeah, here for that.
I'm down for that too. Can we touch upon? Oh, sorry.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
I have another quote for y'all to unpack. In the book, I forgot who says this, but some character says, everything in life is unusual until you get accustomed to it. And I would like to ask, what helps you stay open to what's new, strange, or unexpected in others or in yourself? And how might curiosity itself be an act of love?
Yes, I think that is the answer. Curiosity is a practice. And just reminding yourself that you don't know everything and to just check your biases, check your lived experience not being the only way. And allowing, whenever I'm meeting new folks, I get very tongue-tied. I could sometimes get really sweaty and scared. Even meeting you, Princexx, for the first time, I was like, I've never met someone who uses Zzer Zim. I'm nervous. I'm scared I'm going to fumble. But I was like, you have to fumble. If this is the first time, that's okay. I want to respect and learn from you. I think I'm just so intrigued. This is a hard world to live in, and how people step into it and are inviting themselves to be their own authentic versions. I always want to witness that and respect it and see what it inspires in me too. Curiosity is a practice for me, not letting the voice in your head that thinks it knows everything.
I think going off of that, it's just listening, taking a moment to listen. Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
Yes, they do.
That would be me in this situation. I need to just sit and listen. And if someone has a story that's different from my own, which is going to be everyone I've ever met, the best thing I can do is just take in what they're saying. I think the temptation is to put up walls, defenses, or try to analyze whatever's happening or pass a judgment. That's something to release and just sit and know that.
I think it's easy to happen online more than it is in person, which is a lot of our interactions these days.
Yeah, it's that, like, part of there's like the id, the ego, the superego. There's the part of us that is like, I know everything, I have to be right. It takes courage to be like, no, I can just sit and listen and learn today. I think I'm going through that too. I'm in nursing school at the moment, and that's pretty much what I'm learning. Every single person you meet is going to be different and have a different health story, even two people who have the same diagnosis. So it's going to be completely different. So you can't just assume, like, okay, they have whatever, so it's going to manifest in this way.
That's very real. Holding space for personal growth. Yes, for that.
Still in.
That just made me so happy.
Jonathan, would you actually repeat the question? I was just listening to these in-depth answers and I was like, wow, this is dope.
What are we
This is
talking about?
great. And then I was like, wait, I want to answer the question and not just like, oh, that makes me think of, because I will do that gladly. But yeah, I sometimes do have a lot of conversations with people trying to figure out how to talk to people with different pronouns and how to talk to trans people. It sometimes happens not on the internet. It sometimes happens in real life. And I'm like, wow, this is in real life in front of me. And I always try to like, yes, holding space for personal growth, even for myself. Cause I'm like, yeah, it's me and myself. And also like, yeah, sometimes people are just trying to learn. And sometimes I'm just trying to live. And I'm like, not everything is a teaching moment. I have those moments. I'm like, how do we hold space for both like me and myself and my authentic Black, trans, beautiful self? And then also just like, yeah, how everybody's coming at a different understanding or even just like a different pronunciation. Like, is it a hard E or a soft E? There's a lot of questions.
Yes, I did a Google video before because I was like, I need to hear the sound.
Yeah, no, that's real. We love self-teaching. I tell people all the time, there's a lot of us out here. We're out here, elusive, but we're out here.
Love it.
Honestly,
I love it.
Great quote. Thank you, Jonathan.
Very much so.
Can I bring up one thing real quick?
Go for it.
Just because I love this theme in Marvelous, and we were talking about it before we logged in with everyone here. The whole theme of who gets to practice magic that is present in this book. Linda's kind of the entity of Oz. She is the only one who's allowed to practice. And I'm like, so in a world where there's only one person who has magical abilities who's actually allowed to practice it, what's that going to do to the other people who also have that magic? It's going to make Mombies, right? Like someone who's isolated and then starts to use her magic for various reasons, nefarious, some of them, and also take some of that anger out on Tip. So I'm just so intrigued by environments that like, where are we seeing this? Where are we experiencing this today? Where there is like rules on who gets to do what, and it does not seem fair because there's more qualified people.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I think that a lot. I'm trying to think of a really applicable example, but when I mean, I just think of like, yeah, the administration. I think of like, yeah, if I think of like magic, like honestly, like who's allowed to live freely and comfortably is what I think of. Who's allowed to get a passport, who's allowed to have their gender markers. I remember during the summer, Miss Major, the amazing Black trans ancestor who just recently became an ancestor who was a survivor of the Stonewall Rebellion, when she flew to North Carolina for the Black Trans Film Fest, her gender marker on her passport said X. She was able to fly out of the state she was in, but couldn't enter into the state that we were in because they were not feeling that gender marker. And she was an elder, like she was in a wheelchair. They were like, they stopped her, like she missed her flight. It was a whole situation. It's just like, yeah, I think of who's allowed to travel, who's allowed to exist, who's allowed to
apply to schools.
Like, yeah, she was just trying to speak at the conference where we were all excited to hear her speak, and it was just drawn out because of who's in administration and what's going on. So I think of that, but then also the magic is still going to exist within that resistance. People are still going to make ways and do what they need to do, and it just becomes a lot more creative. I think of Tip at the beginning making the characters. I was like, oh, these are friends. Like these are like, you know, like Tip is making a pumpkin friend because like they're working in the pumpkin spaces, like that's where they are. So it's like, yeah, like the creativity and resistance from the beginning of the tale to the end of the tale to like how it's applied in like every day. It's just like, yeah, if we're gonna resist, if we're gonna restrict who can be magical, it's just gonna make people more resist magical overtly and covertly. People are still gonna be existing in a magical way. When you make something illegal, it doesn't stop it, but it just makes it unsafe. Yes,
Right.
I think about that all the time. As a sober person in drag life, I also do a lot of Narcan trainings and sober conversation in spaces. Having access to do things safely is a lot safer than just abstinence and telling people no. The magic of harm reduction is it reduces harm. If we all have what we need and we all have like a basis knowledge of how to keep each other safe, it's like we can keep each other safe. It's not going to be the other guys. Harm reduction is my favorite song too. In my drag bag is always eyelash glue and Narcan. Probably a couple more Narcans than eyelash glue. Always make sure you have what you need.
It's a tool to have.
I know we're rounding out to 9.
I was just thanking you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
This was such a great conversation.
So fun.
And truly one of my favorite Oz books. We've read all of the original Bombs. This is definitely in our top 3.
This is my number 2.
Yeah, this is her number 2. Wonderful Wizard is kind of like,
I know
it's got to be there. But yeah, this is, and like the ones coming up are so great.
They're so fun
too. Like the Ozma of Oz. Ozma of Oz is my favorite, and that's Tip stepping into power.
Yeah, the journey continues
as the leader, the Princess of Oz. Just incredible. And also, when I was thinking about, there is a prison in Oz in Dorothy and the Wizard, but it's like lovely. No one is ever there.
Not a reformist.
I was like, there's like a weird commentary happening though on
Yeah,
like
prisons
prisons
affect us
in Dorothy
all.
and the Wizard. Yeah,
the prisons are in Oz. Yeah, no, it's scary.
I feel like no one's in the prison or something. It's lovely.
It's not really a prison.
It's not really. Maybe if you want to reprimand yourself, you could be here and sit.
Oh my, I love it. So many different books. I know that for me, this was the first book that I read after, because when I was little, I had The Wizard of Oz, the big, delicate pop-up book.
We both had
that. I broke it. Oops. In the first touch. So it was under supervision. This was one of the first Oz books I could read as a kid that I wasn't going to damage. So it was like nice to revisit it. I'm so excited y'all held this conversation for us, Jonathan. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Next month, we will be reading Ozma of Oz and Princexx. This is your time to watch that really
Return to Oz.
Movie. Return to Oz.
Princexx.
1985.
Love it. It's on Disney Plus.
On Disney Plus.
I have homework. I'm excited. I'll see y'all next month. Yes.
It may not hit the same if you haven't seen it as a kid and revisit it, but it's still really,
I didn't see it as a kid. I watched it the first time for the podcast when we talked about it.
I grew up on it.
And I would have been way too scared as a kid.
I loved it. I love it.
It's very fun.
It needs to be a drag show.
It's so campy.
I love a good campy drag show.
Well, speaking of camp and drag, thank y'all so much for being here. Please follow our lovely host on social media, on TikTok and podcast and Instagram. And follow Queer Visitors. If you can throw us a little monetary support, please do. Down below. If you can't, just keep following us along and showing up. This is here to build community and create a literary sober space for people that love dragon books. They don't like going to the club at 3 a.m.
Come on.
I'm in my pajamas.